I have been using this for a while now, so I figured I would share some thoughts. This is a portable power station that is really meant for people who want backup power at home during outages, or people running in recreational vehicle setup, or anyone who needs to run larger appliances and tools without a gas generator running all day. I started using it because I wanted something that could keep my basics going without me babysitting it. Refrigerator, internet, some lights, charging laptops, and the random stuff you do not think about until the power actually goes out. The thing that makes this unit different in day-to-day use is not a single feature. It is the combination of how much it can run at once, how it handles higher voltage appliances, and how it behaves when it is sitting there in the background as a backup. A lot of portable power stations feel like they are mainly for phones and small devices. This one feels more like a rolling battery box that can take on the stuff you normally plug into your walls. Physically, it is big. The first time I moved it, it reminded me of sliding a small appliance across the floor. The weight is real, and I would not want to carry it upstairs alone. On flat ground, the wheels and the pull handle make it manageable, and that is how I use it. I roll it out when I need it, then park it where I want it. Once it is parked, it sits solid. It does not wobble, and the feet keep it from creeping around when you plug in thicker cables. Build quality feels practical. The outer shell feels tough enough for garage use, not like something you have to baby. The front display is easy to read from a normal standing distance, and it gives me the information I actually care about. How much power I am using right now, how much battery is left, and whether it is charging or not. During an outage, that matters because you are constantly doing the math in your head. Can I make coffee? Can I run the microwave? Should I unplug something? The display helped me make those decisions quickly without pulling out my phone. Setup for basic use is straightforward. I plugged it in, charged it, and started using it. If you are only using it as a big battery with outlets, it is basically plug and play. Where it takes more time is if you want it tied into a home setup with a transfer switch or a dedicated panel. I tried the more involved setup route, and it took me an afternoon plus a lot of reading. It is doable, but it is not something I would rush. If you are not comfortable working around home electrical, it is worth getting help because the goal is backup power, not a weekend of troubleshooting. In daily use, what I ended up doing most is keeping it topped off and ready. I leave it where I can roll it out easily, and I check it every so often. The battery inside is 3,840 watt-hours, and in real life that translates into a lot of time for the essentials. I ran a full-sized refrigerator, my router, a laptop, and a couple of lights during an outage, and it carried me through the night and well into the next day without me feeling like I had to conserve aggressively. The refrigerator cycling on and off is the big one. If your refrigerator can run, everything feels more normal. I also tested it in my garage because that is where I usually find the limits of these things. I plugged in a freezer and then used a couple of power tools in short bursts. It handled the starting surges fine in my case, and I did not have random shut-offs. That is the kind of reliability I look for, because a portable power station is only useful if it behaves predictably when something draws more power than usual. One of the features I actually ended up appreciating is the uninterrupted power supply behavior. It switches fast enough that my internet equipment stayed online when I simulated an outage by killing the wall power. I have a small medical device in the house, and I tested that too because that is the real stress test. I wanted to know if it would cut out even briefly. In my use, it stayed on, and that is the sort of thing that is hard to put a value on until you need it. Charging in normal life has been simple. Off a standard wall outlet, it charges in a few hours, and that is realistic for me because I usually recharge after I use it, not from completely empty. I also tried solar charging on a clear day with 2 panels, and it was steady enough to feel useful. I was seeing several hundred watts coming in consistently when the sun was good. The nice part is that it gives you a way to keep going if the outage is long, without fuel runs and without noise. Solar charging is not magic though. It depends on your panels, your placement, and the weather. You have to treat it like a slow refill that can be great if you plan around daylight. The outlet and port layout is easy to live with. I used the regular alternating current outlets the most, and I liked having multiple options for charging phones and laptops without needing extra bricks. The higher power United States Type-C ports were useful for my laptop, and I did not have to bring my usual charger. Everything is labeled clearly enough that I did not have to squint or guess, even in a dim room during an outage. I also used the higher voltage output because I wanted to see if it was actually practical. If you have appliances that need that, it can be the difference between a power station that is only for some devices and a power station that can run the bigger stuff. I'm not saying everyone needs that capability, but if you do, it is a real separating point. I did not need strange adapters, and that made testing simpler. The mobile app ended up being more useful than I expected. I am normally not an app person for something like this, but it helped in a few ways. I could check the status without walking over to the unit, especially when it was parked in the garage charging. I could also adjust how fast it charged, which matters if you are on a limited circuit and you do not want to trip a breaker. I turned the lights down when I wanted it to be less bright in a dark room. I checked for firmware updates once, then left it alone. For me, the app is not required, but it adds convenience, and it did not feel confusing. Now for the downsides, because there are some. The big one is the weight. It is portable in the sense that you can roll it, not in the sense that you can carry it comfortably. If your plan involves stairs, tight spaces, or lifting into a vehicle often, you need to think through that. Another small frustration is cable length. Depending on where your outlet is, you may want a longer cord, and I ended up using an extension cord in my setup. Also, the size means you need a place to store it where it is not in the way, but still accessible when you need it. Long term, I like the battery chemistry choice here because it is meant for repeated use over years, and that matters for something you might cycle during storms, trips, and occasional testing. I do not treat it like a fragile gadget. I treat it like an appliance that I keep ready. So overall, after actually living with it, this is the kind of power station I reach for when I want fewer compromises. It has been reliable for my refrigerator test, my internet backup, and my garage tool checks. It is not small and it is not light, but that trade-off is part of why it can do what it does. If you need serious backup power without fuel and without constant attention, this is the sort of unit that fits that job. I will update specific information about the Anker SOLIX F3800 Plus in the comments. Don't forget to catch my next video.